Civil rights, when you read it in a textbook, is mostly about facts. But when you go on an experience like the Civil Rights Bus Tour, you get the human aspect of it. And that's something that you can never get any other type of way.
I learned a lot of things that I never would have learned in a textbook and haven't learned in a textbook that is really important to learn so that we don't have a repeat of history.
You're going to go on a bus and you're going to drive all throughout the South, and you're going to go visit historical sites, museums, and meet with a whole bunch of really cool people.
It wasn't just like going through the museums, it was actually sitting down and having conversations with people.
There's no way that a book can contain the emotion of a human being, and we only got a taste of it through museums and meeting people in some of the key locations and just experiencing the South.
We were at the Equal Justice Initiative's memorial. There were names of people who were lynched and why they were lynched. I remember reading them and I just cried because it was so sad to see the why people were killed for absolutely no reason. And like I said, it just is such an injustice.
I was completely awestruck. You hear about these, you read these stories, and then you imagine a place, just a city block, filled with thousands of people, and you can close your eyes for a moment and just be there. You can imagine hearing the speech in your head. You can imagine the marching, the steps, the songs, the cheers, everything. You're there, and for a moment, you were in that time too.
I feel as though we hear continuously about the big figures and we hear continuously about the big events. However, it's the small events that have really played a major role in allowing those big events to happen.
A whole bunch of individuals who had been so impactful for the movement and the influence of the NAACP throughout the civil rights movement and throughout Black rights in general hasn't been focused on a lot in history books. That kind of struggle, that kind of legacy should be celebrated.
This is not a very old, issue. This is not an old movement. These people are still alive, and they're still alive to tell the story of what they went through during the civil rights movement.
Today's movement, today's activism still follows those trends of trying to get equality for those who were never fully given it. The tour really let me see how much more love there is to give in the world and how much more I can do.
I felt as though I was doing myself a disservice because I was only looking at the surface level when it came to certain things, and I was taking what we were taught within the education system as, what history was. But the tour allowed me to be able to see that there's a lot more to the story than what we know.
Those kinds of things you can't find anywhere else. And if you are interested in learning about the civil rights movement, if you're interested in learning from wisdom of an older generation, and honest to God, if you're just interested in hearing some of the greatest stories that I've ever heard, then go on the tour.
That will be one of the greatest things. That'll be one of my takeaways for the rest of my life.
I would say it's 100% worth it. Definitely gaining that knowledge, that experience, being able to see all of the small things that you've never heard of before and walk away with more knowledge than you went in with.
It is an experience that you will never get again in your lifetime. I can guarantee you that. It'll be transformative and in the best way possible, and you will thank yourself for going.